Living life with FND, we won't give up. Spill your coffee, hey, that's okay. We'll laugh it off and seize the day. Sip happens, but we're alright. With Sarah's mug, we'll win the fight. Science stories, laughs and fun. Morning chats for everyone. So take a sip, don't spill the brew. Join the chat, it's made for you.
Hey everyone, the camera's not working. Hey. I don't know why the camera's not working. I hope you guys can hear me. Alright, let's try this together. I think you can hear me. Alright, that seems to be my avatar is working. Alright. All scenes show everywhere. Alright, let's try this. Turn this baby back on. And it freezes. Huh. That's so irritating. I've tried that. I've tried pausing. Well, I don't know what to do. Anyways, this is kind of a test too. I was gonna get on here yesterday, but my body is like recovering from a 9-year-old and 3-year-old fraternal twins. I babysat them for my niece for about 3 weeks, and then I had a week break, not enough time to recover, and then I helped her again for about 2-3 weeks. I lost count. So I'm still in recovery. This young lady owes me big time. Even the 9-year-old owes me big time. And then when the 3-year-olds get, big enough, they owe me big time too. So yeah, it was kind of a challenge, let's say that. The 3-year-olds put me through boot camp, but I wouldn't change it for nothing. I'm not gonna complain because, one, they gave me something extra special with FND, and so that I would not have gotten in healthcare. They motivated me to look at my present time and the future. They kind of put you in kind of a survival, because you're not really thinking about yourself, you're thinking about them, per se. And whereas PT and uh, occupational therapy, that's usually scheduled for about 12 visits, and you're not going to get the same effect as boot camp with a 9-year-old and 3-year-old fraternal twins. So, yeah. So, yeah. And the nice thing is, being an aunt, I can sugar them up. I can, although they would probably be like, we never got any sugar, we never got any candy. But see, that's where I had to take charge and live with them for 3 weeks versus when now I can turn back into a pumpkin and be able to sugar them up because mom's back. So, um, so it was a nice challenge and something that I needed. Um, Looking back 3 years ago when FND, I would not have been able to do that. I would not have been able to lift a child. Um, yeah, they're 3 years old and they're at that perfect age where I don't have to lift as much, and um, they're just borderline. They're gonna try to, um, be behave bad or whatever, and get into mischief and stuff like that. Um, so um, they're gonna try to, um, do that, where I'm not gonna do what you're wanting me to do, and um, while putting me in bed. That was like um, the like nap time. I'm like I need 2 hours, and so they would straighten their legs and be like, I'm not going to bed. But they soon learn that, we're going to take a nap. Aunt Sarah needs a nap, and not do that. Um, so, yeah, they were such a challenge, but then a good challenge. And I say this wholeheartedly, go adopt your nieces and nephews for a couple weeks if you need PT, OT. Um, the nice thing about the 9-year-old is, um, I didn't have to, do PT, OT, but all three of them, they um, gave me the perspective on the other aspect of FND, which you're dysregulated, and so that helped me. Okay, I need to work on this. I'm still dysregulated, um, so that helped me quite a bit. Um, so that's where I've been. Uh, yeah, and then I don't think I could have done it without the 9-year-old either, because I don't want him to think that he was the babysitter for Aunt Sarah, but yeah, there were times when he he obviously needed a break, and I felt bad that, you know, he was sort of like a little bit of a babysitter for all three of us, me and the 3-year-old, but he helped me quite a bit. So, um, so yeah, he helped me, all three of them. Um, so, anywho, sorry you're talking or watching the avatar. I rather the camera. Let's try it again. For some reason, maybe I just need to. I'm trying a different streaming. I'm using Restream. So, you. Oh my goodness. So, I'm still recovering. It's probably gonna take me another 2 weeks to recover. It's probably gonna take me all year. FND is just crazy in itself, and then you add different elements to it, and it's just like, ah. So let's try this camera again. I don't know what's paused. See, still frozen. Still frozen. Okay. Well, anyways, um, so it's been 3 years. 3 whole years to this day that FND, well, actually, technically on the 27th, it will be like when like everything went down with FND and changed my life for 3 years or 3 months and 3 years, and you know, but today I 3 years ago, I was going through, looking back, I thought it was like bipolar mania. I thought it was maybe non-epileptic seizures because I was crying. I wasn't sleeping very well because I've had PTSD since 2015. And I've been trying to seek professional help since then. Like, and well, it started really, I thought I needed medication. I thought it was just all in my head and chemical imbalance, as we were always taught. And so I was like, back in 2018, I went to outpatient thinking, I'd been dealing with this for 3 years with PTSD. I also had other trauma, and I was still probably grieving with losing your parent, is very difficult. Um, and it has its hoops and hurdles as well. So, and then mental health kind of runs in our family too. So I genuinely thought I needed, you know, professional help. I needed to be on medication. Um, it was affecting my work, and sleep. And so I thought I was doing the right thing. And so the practitioner, which recorded this, documented this, and even came to the conclusion that I am hypersensitive to medication. I've always known that I was hypersensitive to medication ever since my first round of when back in 1995, 1994, somewhere around there, schools would, you know, pull you to the side, which, and classify you as learning disability, or that was the era of, oh, everybody seemed to have ADHD because you can't, or an ADD because you can't follow along. And that, looking back, after all this FND stuff, that was like, I had metabolizing issues. If you saw me in person, I'm 5 foot. There's some clues that, I wasn't growing like, the other kids. Everything was too big, didn't fit. I absolutely despise clothes. I despise, having, um, what is the stretchy stuff? Elastic. I hate elastic bands around my waist. And looking back as well, I was always tired. I could sleep anywhere, and that just grew. By the time I got into high school, I was sleeping everywhere. I was getting in trouble. I wanted to get through school, get through high school, and yeah, and would sleep anywhere. And it just got to like a safety problem. So went to a neurologist that 1999, and he configured that I was, again, my brain was on fire because I was on Adderall since 1995, and So this is not my first rodeo. And then, so then I was put on seizure medication. They gave me the diagnosis of partial complex seizures, but as things go in healthcare, things have changed since then. That was like, oh my goodness, 26 years ago. So then fast forward, I was told that trilipitol, which I had been taking for nearly 25, 26 years, was now given for mood stabilizers, which I honestly do not think it should be. None of these seizure medications provide mood stability. And if you look, the FDA at some point did not approve of it being a mood stabilizers, but then I found that the generic is approved. I don't know. Anyways, it doesn't fit. But then back in 1999, I was also on 20 different pills, a regimen of this and that and the other to stabilize this and counteract with that, and vitamins, and, you know, a shake, and I don't know. I looking back, I felt toxic. And so I made the decision to like wean off after high school, wean off because I was going to lose my health insurance anyways, wean off some of these unnecessary things that could be causing me to, feel that way. And I exercised. The recession did me a lot of good, but I might have taken it too much to the extreme. But I worked on my diet. I worked on, walking, and then walking became my neighborhood was roughly about 5.5 miles. So I walked along the edge. We didn't have any sidewalks, unfortunately, but walked on the drive and along the edge, and there was a bunch of hills, and so I was really working out and then getting my sunshine, and it was perfect because I felt safe, because we lived in a gated community, and just walked and walked and walked. And that turned into twice a day. And then sometimes I would get yelled at by my mom, "Where are you?" Because that turned into 3 times a day. And then I got bored with that and then ventured biking. The other neighborhood that connected with us. And then I worked on my diet. I kind of went through a keto diet regimen, and then that was before I graduated, and I was trying to figure that all out. And then I tried to go vegan slash vegetarian. Didn't do me any good. But right before my mom passed away, I felt amazing. Like the best I've ever felt. I dropped down to like I was at a killer weight. Like I felt amazing. And yeah, so moving forward, I was just like, you know what, I need to get back into, and it's hard when you run a business. Your health goes to, when you run businesses, you would think that, oh, we're going to take care of ourselves, and, um, you know, um, but the polar opposite can happen, because you start getting into networking, and with networking groups, there was always food, there's always alcohol too, uh, bigger events and stuff, um, and you would, do one-on-ones. Well, let's meet up for lunch. And so yeah, that put me on a downcline, my health wise. But once you're an entrepreneur, you're always an entrepreneur, and so I just have to be extra careful, with that. Anyways, I really wish my camera worked. Anyways, moving forward, I wanted to better myself, and I thought seeking psychiatric help, in 2019, and then, no, backtrack. I also went back to school, which was a major failure. I was like, well, since I'm a massage therapist, and I've been doing this for almost 20 years, and a lot of people tell me a lot of their problems. And pain is usually a biopsycho, manifestation. Anyways, I could chill out a little bit better if I went into psychology and do it like, my mom, and then I got the creative idea that, one of my siblings was going to the same college, and well, we're like 15-ish years age difference. So it would be fun to graduate the same time that, roughly about the same time and from the same college or ish. So I went for psychology, and that just like, okay, maybe I'm not ready for this. Maybe I need to, seek professional help for these issues. I was always having anxiety, and I figured it's just anxiety about, upcoming, you know, presentations or term papers, and, I hadn't been in college for, many moons. Um, and then my internet was always out, and having to fork over, money, paying bills and stuff. And so I just thought maybe it's not worth it. For the time being, I can always come back after I work on myself, but how many years has it been? 8 years, give or take. So now I just like, I don't know, it just seems like getting too old. um, Anywho, I know it's been forever since you guys have seen me. Um, Anywho, so went inpatient. It was very intimidating. Outpatient first, and then they figured out that, oh, you might need some supervision. So uh, they switched me into inpatient because I was hypersensitive to medication, and it's documented everywhere. And 2023, I'm still laughing to this day that the doctor that laughed at me and gaslit me, about my hypersensitivity, that I needed to put my greeny panties on because, and take an adult dose of medication. That was hilarious. Anyways, and then now we're following somebody that, yeah, who has been, I don't know. It's just, I kept saying, I'm hypersensitive. I'm here for hypersensitivity. I could care less about, I don't know where I was going with that, but anyways, so Then I was 2019 involuntary, and I literally saw a new doctor every flippin' day. Every flippin' day it was a new doctor, new medication. They noticed that I was on trialbutal for seizures. They upped the dose. I had been taking a low dose, very low dose of it since just in case, I was still having seizures, and I just wanted to make sure that, I still had it in my body, just in case, but I still had these, and I knew how, if I felt like I was having like these so-called non-epileptic seizures, that it was like time to up the medication. Anyways, but and then back in 2018, the neurologist was always getting pissed off because I was like expecting them, the inpatient, to be communicating to my neurologist about this, and then in 2019, that's when my neurologist was getting pissed off. How unprofessional are you? And literally getting like spitting on, you could tell he was spitting because he was getting that mad, like, and saying that he's basically not going to work with psych, and I needed to talk to psych, and and not understanding that I was new to this. I was vulnerable. I was new to this. I'm asking, questions, that are important. And I was asking him to, refer me out, or, anyways. And then I was also in 2019, sorry. My mom passed away from heart problems. So I was also like, my blood pressure was a little high. I was just trying to, like, even the hospital had like this little doodad, get your heart checked for $49 or whatever, get a scan for $49. Like all these little marketing things. So I was taking it maybe too serious, but I was going to the heart doctor because, yeah, I was still young, but I might as well rather start young than before it's like too late, and then, oh, you have heart problems, So I was, thinking maybe anxiety can look like heart problems, or heart problem can look like anxiety. I don't know. Anyways, so I was taking my health, pretty serious, and then the food issue, I will admit I have an eating disorder because of all this. And then I'm hypersensitive to many, 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 many drugs. We've kind of gone through some of those. So check back to when I did, I think, a first round of the medications. I do need to do some more of those. And then I do carry the MTH FR gene, which proves that I am hypersensitive to medications. I don't process very well. I don't metabolize very well. Metabolizing. I think we're taking this like the wrong way. Like, basically, in my opinion, psychiatry is all pseudoscience, all theories, Russian roulette, and yeah, and it's causing people, they're so dangerous that it's causing people to commit suicide. And yeah, if you are following the Lindsay Clancy case, we'll dive into that next week sometime. I really do need to get back to painting. Yeah, need to get that going again. And so yeah, and then it should be a standard for genetic testing to be done before any psychiatric medications are even remotely issued after this case. I guarantee, and we'll discuss this on next week, but I guarantee, like me, I am hypersensitive to medication. I feel like psychiatry also is just a big old bag of bullshit theories, and theories that we've gone backwards, on theories. It's we're practicing the ECT and these inhumane things guarantee if you look at your past history, you will see it was just little fears, little, grief. Things change in your life, and then, and that's not necessarily depression, clinical depression. Let's air quote that. Air quote clinical depression. Clinical anxiety. Grief is not depression. Okay? Anxiety is mostly fear. Now, if you procrastinate and you are so fatigued and tired and, burnout, that's not necessarily, bipolar or whatever. You stay up too late, that's not necessarily mania. There's people out there that are, night owls. I've quit trying to follow a schedule and just letting my body naturally do whatever it needs to do. Sleep-wise, I've given up on trying to follow a sleep pattern or, the straight lace, 9 to 6 o'clock or 11 o'clock to 6 or whatever. And just let it naturally do what it needs to do. And then homeostasis and your body will just eventually do what it needs to do. And circadian rhythm, will just fix eventually. And I'm not, trying to. And that was back to my nieces and nephews, when they slept, this girl's sleeping. And so I was following their, sleep patterns, or they're following mine. And because once 9 o'clock, 8 o'clock hit, I was ready for bed. And then, so that helped quite a bit. And then, yeah, so I just, back to 2023. And then I had another inpatient that was more a different story. But I still was kind of pressured to take medication because in order to be there, and that didn't last long because I was only there for 72 hours and had, priorities and stuff to, and And I think it was just subconsciously, I'm like, this is not working. This is not working. And then I was on medication and off medication, which leads into craziness with protracted withdrawal. And yes, you can have protracted withdrawal in your system. I have this theory that medication, like psychiatric drugs, can still exist in your body. I'm a little fluffy, if you can't tell. So with the MTHFR gene and another gene called the COMT, where you don't process medication, I think your system stores these medications in your visceral fat. And that's why it takes so long to get it out of your system. It takes years for people, and you might not have a lot of visceral fat, but you might have some. I have proof that I have a lot of fat that needs to go bye-bye. But anyways, so, and then I think I have this also theory that how you can get it out of your system a little bit faster, and which is hard with FND and post-exertional malaise, and yeah. So I'm gonna get some barbells and start trying to do, lifting weights and stuff. Now that I've went through 3-year-old boot camp, I should have weighed them before and after every time I came, because those little monsters absolutely loved my waffles and sausage and fruit and everything. And they were getting pretty round by the time I was getting ready to leave. Anyways, you can't go hungry, okay? It was frustrating because we've got picky eater and then 3-year-old who was, well, two of them. One of the 3-year-olds was a quite picky eater, although I was able to manage to get him to try different things. Now the other one was a human garbage disposal. That little girl could eat anything. So yeah. So yeah, I can't you tell that I love my nieces and nephews? And it's also it's also fun to see them, as parents now. And then, their kids are doing the same stuff that they used to try to pull. I just get tickled by that. So anyways, back to 2023. Yeah, I wish that I had not been sleeping very well. I was trying everything from exercise to massage to eating certain times, because that can affect your um, schedule, and trying to eat healthy, trying all different things, and taking melatonin. I got back on Vraylar, which after my therapist said, what's wrong with taking medication? Well, I'm hypersensitive to medication, and here we are, FND, a story that shouldn't have ever happened. That's what's wrong with taking medication. Throwing these theories and not looking at documents that say, gaslighting people because they know too much. Gaslighting other professionals that, I body talk when I am not feeling very well. I'll go through my whole body in what feels like crap and try to get it out of my system by, okay, you can do this. You know, you might feel like fatigue, and I probably do it too much but that's because I am hypersensitive to, everything. So, could it be because I have PTSD? I don't know. I wish my camera worked. That's so frustrating that it doesn't work. Anywho, yeah, so then 2023, I'm crying, pacing. I think it was a combination of the Vraylar. Then July of 2023 is when I fell. I don't remember hitting my head, but still the whiplash can trigger those chemicals in your brain, and cause, concussion like symptoms, which is that's when things start going downhill. So I had Vraylar, which was causing, chemical stuff, probably. Yeah, it was a low dose, but I could still feel the impact. When I say I can feel medication, anything chemical in my body, I can feel it. That's how some of these medications work for me. Anyways, and then it was just a downcline from there. And then I was also trying exercise, and I was also doing jiu-jitsu, and I absolutely loved jiu-jitsu. It was, but it was also hot. And so getting thrown on the floor and, after falling back in July, I think did, create some mess up in my brain. And then them failing to look at my medical history and still, cold turkeying me off of Radar, not even provide it. My blood pressure was sky high, stroke high, not intervening about that. Not like, give me my Vraylar, quit telling me that I need to drive home, which was a 40-minute drive, going to get it, and then I'm gonna just go right into a psych hospital when I feel like, like that felt like psychosis, not non-epileptic seizures for me. Like, I was scared. I had like this in fear that I needed help, professional help. And this was the closest hospital. I figured that they were going to be sending me there. And then you factor in, oh, you see your therapist that you saw like literally 6 months prior come down. Yeah, they had their kids with them, but you could, of, my history, you could have, should have, like, asked me if I needed help, and I don't know. I'll never forgive her. That could have gone so much better if, hey, do you need help? Do you need me to call 911? Still called 911, once you got in the car, or gone home and called my emergency contacts. Look up, hey, that's what I would have done if I, saw one of my patients in distress, knowing that their past history, I would have done that. I would, yeah, you might have your kids, you're protecting your kids, but I would have still, yeah, HIPAA, laws, yeah, you can't really, with HIPAA, you can't, you know, like, hi, acknowledge is the word that I'm saying, the person first. But I could not, I had no concept that day. I had no concept. I shouldn't have ever, somebody should have taken my keys away. And then I could have gone to an actual hospital, and then things would have probably been way different. And then I get there, and then the psych hospital is supposed to be open 24/7. Their front doors are closed. No receptionist up front for solid 20 minutes. Yeah, I think, COVID changed some factors into that, but and their emergency phone outside, just in case they're closed, was broken. So I stood there for 20 minutes, pacing, crying, like backtrack, me driving over there. Yeah, was that could have factored in. I shouldn't have ever driven. I had no concept of calling 911. You would think that somebody in that state of mind would not have the concept of driving, but you know, um, and then there, as things got better, and you know, I was going, I was almost, almost 6 months to being able to drive again, but now I'd be too chicken shit to drive ever again. Um, so yeah, I had no concept of calling 911 while I was inpatient to have them come and get me. That's what these drugs do to you. They put you in a stupid state, numb, blunt state where you can't make decisions. You become this vulnerable, oh, okay, chemical state where you just believe everything, the doctor, and if they, you get chemical mania, you get, the ideation, you get labeled, with everything in the kitchen soup of different theories and labels, and I just want to burn that. I just want to burn that book. So if you want to use that QR code up on the right hand side, yeah, I think that was to buy me a coffee. It's also my birthday month. So if you would like to buy me a coffee, I would greatly appreciate it. And if I already drank my coffee, I would also use it to buy a DMS 5 book just to burn have a burn party. Let's do that next week. Buy me the I don't know how much. Just buy me the oldest version of that stupid book, and we're gonna just burn it. Yeah, so I'm just, yeah, I know I can't go back in history and change it. Um, and that moving forward, I got to get back into my real estate. Got to get back to painting. Working on this cat that I need to get finished. So whoever's listening right now, sorry for the delay. You don't have to comment. Anyways, and then what else do I need to do? I need to do other stuff too. I'm excited about, I just watched a YouTube channel, Karen Nate, who are pregnant. I'm so excited. I'm so proud of them. I've been watching them for years. That's the exciting thing about following these, YouTubers and just watching everybody else's, progress and, shooting for the stars and stuff is, awesome. So I am gonna be using Restream. It's gonna be a little bit different. I think I got it all set up. So we're gonna start doing a introduction, morning intros, and then it's gonna be a little bit frustrating because they've got a little bit of a different setup on here. So I'm gonna have to start working on my timing on stuff instead of rattling on for hours. So if you're in chat and you want to help with, timing wise, I can make you a moderator and you just be the one that, hey, your 20 minutes is up. Quit rattling, or, So I'm gonna try to make this more straight to the point instead of rattling off my brain, which gets me in trouble sometimes. I can't believe I've been through FND for 3 years, although I will not leave this community, even though I have been thinking a lot about the Lindsay case. Has opened my brain and thought process too, that, like I said, that grief is not depression. Anxiety or fear anxiety is just mostly fear. And then I think mental health has manipulated, a lot of people into thinking they have depression when it's just life. Life can be hard. Life is rough. And then when you're on these chemicals too, and they produce a lot of the mania, and you just rattle, and or protracted withdrawal, whatever it is, we're not even gonna give it a name or give it the space or the power. But where was I going with that? Shit. Anyways, I don't know where I was going with that. I don't know. See, I've even noticed that I lose my train of thought a lot too with this. So yeah, and that's frustrating. Like I lose my train of thought so bad that I can't even like backtrack on my brain what I even said. That's why I do this YouTube stuff. So I don't know. It's frustrating. Anyways, life is hard. You'll get through it. We'll all get through it one way or another. We're all doing it together. So, oh, back to the mania. There we go. See, we did it. With like this chemical induced brain, when we take those pills and it rattles off like mania, this chemical induced mania, you tend to think that you are the only one that has these disorders, or you know um, that's how bad psych is. They kind of manipulate you to think that you're the only one that has whatever. Like you're the only one that's has this lifestyle or whatever, and this lifestyle they manipulate to think for you to think that your lifestyle is horrendous, and you know it's also sickening that that we're still practicing psychiatric, just like in the 1980s or 1800s, or back into the ancient days of witchcraft and medicine. That's how I put it. It's Russian roulette. They don't even give you, in 2023, I never was given any paperwork about these medications. So I was not informed at all. Suck it up, Buttercup. You know, you've been here before. You should know all. And given medication, I didn't never heard of ziprasidone or doxepine. You know, and then when you conclude that none of this is working out for you, you're only making me worse. You're not calling 911 or referring me out to another clinic or whatever. You're withholding me. You know, and you're twisting my words. I had no concept when I had to go back to the same stupid psych hospital a month later. They should have looked at the health history. Hypersensitive to medication. It's all over my health history. Genetic tests. That was recommended by one of your practitioners in 2018. A whole shit of verbiage that says I'm hypersensitive to medication. I had been there in I was there a month prior, suffering a stroke-like episode. Let's refer her out. Let's just send her to the ER. I lost my home. I lost the ability to drive. I very briefly couldn't talk. Dominant side paralysis. Still couldn't feel, and that was the blessing with my nieces and nephews, hey, can you give me a massage? Or so like I had my nephew like run cars over my back. That's how sad and I'm like, oh, I didn't know that tickles, or that's still pretty numb on my back. That's a sensory overload. So that was the other blessing, is I could con them into running cars or scratching my back or whatever. See, I used to, give my family members massages when I was little, and I'd get a quarter or whatever, or dime or whatever. And they won't, this niece or nephew wanted, I was like, oh, I'll give you $10 or $5 or whatever, $20 if you're lucky. And they wanted $100. I'm like, you're not licensed. You're not licensed. So you got to go to school and become a licensed therapist if you want $100. Uh, you can't pull that on me. So yeah. So anywho, and then so I've tried 42 drugs out of the 65 that they test on. 42 drugs since 1999, but realistically, I mean, I tried like Valium, I've tried Effexor, I've tried Valium, and Adderall, and Paxil. But that's 5, so 30. I want to say about 35 drugs since 2018. That's a lot. A lot of damage that can. A lot of damage on your central nervous system. A lot of damage. A lot of damage to your brain, your nervous system, your. No wonder. No wonder. And again, I'm going to say wholeheartedly, absolutely nothing is wrong with me. After this, like, mentally. Mentally, I'm stronger. That's for sure. Especially after the amount of FND also is debilitating and life altering, but the things that occurred after, like the gaslighting that you're faking and attention seeking and forcibly made to ambulate when you lost all mobility, everything that you learned, like literally a month prior, forced to walk and ambulate in order to discharge. Yeah, granted, I wanted to get out of there because I lost all faith in this place. Like, I knew that I needed to be cared by someplace else professionally, personally. I was going to have to start all over with PT. and learn how to walk again. And then I had like the syncope after you gave me Topamax for 3 days. By the way, on the document, I was reading through my health history from them. Apparently, they only documented me taking Topamax for 1 day. They gave it to me for 3 days. They didn't have it documented. The Topamax was like the one that put the so-called FND in. It was like giving it steroids. And then you gave me another undocumented medication, and then you questioned me as if I were hallucinating. You asked me if I was hallucinating. Oh, and then, going back to rehab, when I first did rehab, I saw the psychiatrist hoping that they would give me mental health services to, taper me off of Zyprazidone. The primary care person, my hospitalist, forced him to come back and introduce himself because I thought he was the hospitalist. He had the same, you know. So I was just thought I was supposed to ramble on because that Zyprazidone, doxepine was making me chemically manic, or I was experiencing paralysis with akathisia, mental akathisia, physical akathisia. I don't know. It was horrible because you couldn't move. And so God help us all when my family had to deal with, my chemical mania, akathisia. And I've noticed a big, huge difference now. I don't really text that much. I definitely don't call people anymore. But and I've noticed, I don't care to text people. I don't care to use my phone anymore. Like, it's crazy. It's been only 3 years. It feels like it was just yesterday that this all happened to. I'm still fuzzy. Got I'm still blunted. still in that dream-like state. Like, everything is still not real. I don't know how long that's gonna take. It is, I think it's subsiding here and there. Especially, I feel it more when I wake up, like, and then when I'm really super sleepy, or, you know, if it's something new to me, I like I've never experienced or something. Um, yeah. But I'm just hoping, you know, that will dissolve. And if it takes 10 years, awesome. If it not, you know, if it's the rest of my life, oh well, you know. I probably repeat myself 10 million times. Um, anyways, I had a good birthday month. If you want to send me some, you know, some coffee money, that would be greatly appreciated. I do absolutely love Moxie tea. Yeah, Modest tea. Sorry, Moxie. uh, I think I've watched too much of Mo in the Deep End. Um, Modest teas, because they have brand names where, like Wake the Fuck Up or Badass Bitch, uh, Go to Sleep, whatever their, I do love their brand. So I can use that money, um, buying me a coffee. They've got the best sleepy tea. I highly recommend drinking some of that tea. Put a little bit of honey in it, because blah, 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 blah. I can't talk. Honey is a natural alternative to help you sleep, especially when it's heated up, and Manuka apparently is a little bit more potent. So it's gonna help you sleep. Um, and I've even tested out like banana tea. It's where you take the banana peel and it apparently has all the nutrients, but then I know I recommended it. I'm not a, you know, I'm not your health care professional, but I've read mixed reviews. Um, I decided to do that instead because honey and banana tea, because there is new research about melatonin. Taking it, too long can cause, you know, uh, heart stuff. And two, if you take melatonin for a long, long time, your everything that, it gets lazy and does kind of the same thing as mental health, sleep drugs, um, your serotonin, or whatever I'm trying to say. Again, I am not your healthcare professional, so take my advice as a grain of salt, you know. Um, but the modesties, I highly recommend them, though. Um, anyways, so now that it's been 3 years, what's next? What's next on the agenda? Like, I gotta finish real estate school, gotta get back into painting. Um, it's I'm probably going to temporarily uh, help my niece with her kids. Because I want her to go back to school and not necessarily, worry about childcare and stuff like that, paying child care. And um, in the long run, she's going to help me. I'm helping her, helping the kids. Um, so I still want to do that. So I got to kind of figure that out. Um, got to move closer. And it's only temporarily. And then that might help me to move forward, advance a little bit in life, and not continue being stuck. Or stuck in this mindset, you know. Um, the problem is, I love where I live because it does provide independence, especially with the very you never know if you're gonna flare with FND, and so transportation is great. Yeah, they're making the improvements. They can make more improvements. Um, I know a lot of people in this town, and um, just it's a small town versus the town that she's in now. I would only be able to take Uber. Um, it's a much bigger town, not as safe to be walking around. So, um, anyways, a lot to think about, with a disability and being reliant on, because I don't necessarily want to be burdening them for, right here, right there. I know that they wouldn't mind doing this and that and the other, and that a lot of people are independent, and um, they tend to like to find autonomy and independence with their disability and not rely, and not burden, I know I'm not a burden on anybody, but, sometimes it's just how it is. Anyways, um, can't believe it's been 3 years. Um, anyways, I went to Indiana Beach for the first time and probably the last time. uh, More or less, it was my birthday. Um, had a good friend come down, good conversation, wholehearted conversation that I needed, and just needed a good friend, good solid friend who hadn't seen me in forever. And so I was too chicken shit to even try a lot of the rides. It was hot, um, which, and I did not realize that, there's a lot of walking involved. Um, Now there's free parking on one side and then there's paid parking on the other. But handicap accessible was in the paid parking. I didn't, when you have a disability and you go to a public place, you should expect both entrances, all entrances should provide accessibility. And a person with a disability does not need to um, have to pre-plan every X, Y, and Z, A to Z, you know, in order to have fun and not burden anybody from their fun. And I just wanted to go and have fun and not worry about FND. Um, and there was a little bit too much walking. Let's put it that way. A lot of confusion from the entrance that did not apparently have handicap accessibility, which I asked. You can see my walker. I took the walker because I just had that feeling that there was going to be too much walking, uneven, and I just didn't want to take the risk of. But as soon as I got there, I wanted to have access to a wheelchair. Now, you would think that a place would have scooters for rent. You would not think that plus their wheelchairs would be also rentable. I just wanted a damn wheelchair. And I guess I'm going to have to store a wheelchair just in case, because Yeah, I'm doing well. I did well with 3-year-old fraternal twins. Uh, they pushed me, but I was on even ground. I was at home, my third or fourth home. um, so I wasn't having to walk, you know, one side to the other to get a wheelchair. You know, it was hot, and I thought, Kentucky. Oh, that was weird. That was weird. Anyways, so we were getting kind of towards the end. We'd been there. Um, we went to the wheelchair rental place, which I we I thought, this girl's got a walker. I don't understand that. Anyways, after dealing with that, like, that's sort of a hidden fee if you think about it. Yeah, I granted that I didn't research everything before I went there, nor should I have to do that. Like, the lady should have, hey, we've got this lady with a walker. Um, she needs accessibility. Can she, park on the other side to make it more just customer friendly and more accessibility friendly, I guess. I don't know. It's frustrating. It's frustrating that people with disability has to do all this research and shit to go anywhere. So frustrating. Anyways, I've got some then I rode on the merry-go-round. Um, and I'm so these are like the um, things that, like, oh, I never knew I could do that moments. They're like big moments, but they're small moments too. um, I was able to get up on the horse all by myself. I should have sat in the little carriage area, but I wanted to test myself and see if I could hop on there. And I did it. I saddled up, and I was a little anxious because, you never know, going up and down and having seizures and stuff, but I held on tight and hope for the best. And it wasn't until the Rocky movement afterwards, when the carousel started, teetering back and forth, that's when I was like, shit. And started feeling the adverse reaction to the carousel. But I made it through. I did it. Yeah. And I was only gonna do like the kiddie rides anyways. Because I didn't want to attempt a roller coaster anyways. I was gonna let my friend do all those rides if they wished. And then Indiana Beach has a lot of bees, and I think I got stung. Um, and you would think with the whatever reaction I get when I get red and all the time, I'm calling it mast cell activation syndrome, MCAS. Um, a lot of people with FND have MCAS these days anymore. So it was either the bees or I got a spider bite in the middle of the night, or because I would have had a bigger reaction if I got stung. And that's because when I was about 7, 8, 9, 10, I'm starting to get to the age where I don't remember anything past 10 now. Anyways, or there was a gentleman that sat down with his son who was making a mess of himself with his ice cream cone. And he mentioned that he had sumac poisoning, because he pointed out all my mosquito bites I had inherited this summer, watching my niece and nephews. And I was like, Kentucky, you're like wiping that all over the bench and everywhere in this place. Yeah, you, yeah, poison ivy, whatever, poisoning. Stay home. Probably, and I'm getting to the age where I'm like, stranger danger talking to me, you know. Uh, so I was like, okay. So, yeah. Anywho, so also this beautiful dragonfly symbolizes transformation. If you are interested in this painting, it is for sale. I want to get rid of it. It needs a new home. Please buy. You can use the QR code up there at the top right. So, yeah. Please buy it. I'm asking $199.99. Going once, going twice. Sold to whoever wants to buy it. That would be fun to try to learn how to be an auctioneer. I don't think I could do it, but it'd be funny. Um, be like, I'd have to use my FND superpowers for that one. Yeah. And when I have an episode, it's shit, 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 or F, 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 F. I'm really trying to stop cursing. Um, Good grief, it's been 2 hours. Um, yeah, so, anywho, crazy it's been 3 years. Crazy, crazy. I can't believe the 9-year-old is a 9-year-old and the fraternal twins are 3. Um, that was the best thing, one of the best things through this whole thing, this whole journey is I actually had the nurses pick out names like uh, to help my niece. um, and then one of the twins, there was Kinsey, and I've always been drawn to the name Kinsey, and then uh, 2 other names. So yeah, and then I'm working on another book because of the twins. Because we had this fiasco the first 3-week round where they got into the dresser and found um, hair gel. This this twin has the most gorgeous locks. Oh my goodness, and blue eyes, and this girl has all. I didn't know a girl could have so many products at a very young age and could go through hair misery because of her locks. Oh my goodness. Um, it makes my head hurt. Gives me a headache even just thinking about the misery that this girl goes through with her hair. Anyways, so yeah, got into hair gel. It was all over. They gotten out all their clothes out of the dresser and got into the gel, and she deliberately put this hair gel all in her hair, and all her pretty blue eyes could say was, "I look so pretty." And you just wanted to laugh but cry at the same time, and take her and plunk her in the bathtub and do not touch anything. Um, Comment down below if your child has ever gotten in um, like makeup or hair gel or um, and how big of a mess it was. It was all over the pack and play. And I'm usually good about it, checking on the babies and making sure they're not getting into trouble. Like every 15 minutes, I would go in because, they can get in trouble very, very fast. Yeah, and I heard the other twin climbing on something and crying because they got stuck on the dresser, and yeah. So, yeah. That was a test of FND. We went to bed early, I do believe, and and then they did that, and then I think that was the day that I forgot where the diapers were or ran out of diapers, and they were all in the garage or something. And you can't take your eyes off those little human. And so, yeah. So, anyhow, well, it was my birthday month. Let's give you guys a little bit of music. Let's see here. Theme. No, I don't want to do that. Graphics. That's what I want to do. Do this. Yay! It was my birthday. Yay! I'm 24, by the way. We're just moving the numbers. Here we go. I made the song. Oops. Here we go. Oh, sorry. Sorry, guys.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Down where the bubbles rise, sparkles are dancing tonight. Mermaids are singing, the ocean's ringing. Everything feels magical and bright. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Make a wish on a seashell and let your dreams come true. Happy birthday to you. Sing it loud, sing it true. Under the sea we celebrate the special days all for you. Dolphins are jumping high. Stars are lighting up the sky. Blow out your candles, make your wish tonight. May all your dreams take flight. Happy birthday to you.
Yay! Let's turn the graphics on. Too many buttons to press. Here we go. If you would like to buy me a coffee for my birthday, that would be greatly appreciated. And then I could maybe get Modest Teas to help me sleep. And again, if you would like to purchase this dragonfly painting, I would just like for it to have a new home. I think it's also a sign of transformation when I have somebody purchase it, because then it signifies my own transformation, that it's just a sign, that things are going to get better and move forward. Anyways, sorry you're watching my avatar. I think it's really boring that my camera does not work. We'll try it again. We'll see if it works. See? Not working. Why isn't it not working? Frozen. Huh. Huh. Anywho. Yeah, going back to the Lindsay Clancy case, I just feel like, yeah, she had every woman, not every woman, but many women go through postpartum. Why the hell? I I would never see anybody who has only not even 1 year of experience, first of all, who's like practicing on their own. Like, even for me with massage therapy, I wanted experience at the clinic, fast paced clinic. I had 8 months experience. I had to have prior authorization and approval in order to have, because I went on my own because there was nothing available for clinical. You had to have an internship for like 40 or 80 hours of, supervised clinics. Does it do me any good doing it that way? Not really, because I wouldn't have had the experience that I would, And then that's where Dr. Tufts did not do her justice. One, she's inexperienced. Two, she did not communicate with other colleagues or refer her out. Using basic, she did not. And then, so any person that's new to psychiatric, oh, okay, we're gonna believe whatever this doctor's gonna, prescribe or diagnose or whatever. So, yeah, like, I would say, go out on your own. After you've had, like, fast-paced clinical in the hospital, crazy, after you've had your craziest experience in the world, you know, um, after you've seen some stuff, um, like 2, 3 years. Then I worked in a clinic for a year, almost a year, and then almost a year in a spa clinical, but it was slower paced. So I had those two experiences and then went back out on my own, um, which you will learn. Um, but then Dr. Tufts did not do, she admitted that she did not take thorough notes, or one of the, like, I would reach out to a doctor, you know, I would refer out. I definitely referred out if I felt like this needs more neuromuscular re-education and I don't have the equipment. Like if um, and, in massage therapy, it's vital to take thorough notes, especially in medical massage therapy, because like um, especially manual mobilization techniques. Like if I turn their, arm, you know, in a specific way, and I hear a click, that click is a vital, you know, reference, especially if I'm referring out to. So notes are very important in healthcare. Even if you are like, this is not important, but it could be down the line. Um, yeah, and this whole, I don't know. After experiencing having to do first aid or whatever, on somebody that had attempted suicide, and then dealing with my own mental health crisis, and it can happen really fast. Yeah. I just don't, I don't think when somebody should be forced to stay with somebody who, you know, done something horrific like that. Yeah, it's crazy that, his second wife looks just like Lindsay. But it can happen, you know. Um, and one, he might get down to the road and she does something that triggers him, and then, you know, um, to leave. um, I don't think this rebound marriage will it'd be interesting if he, stays with her forever. Um, but it could lead into a rebound. Um, and I honestly don't think he had anything to do with it. But yet again, I think I'm with everybody on waiting for that to come out or something crazy. I don't know. But again, I understand the whole system is so broken, corrupt. Um, it'd be sad if he was, you know, this conspiracy theory is that he did it. Um, and then I don't know. Yeah, he could have had an affair, and because he didn't know how to deal with whatever was going on with Lindsay. Um, and it could have been, you know, one night thing, and then who knows. So we'll see what happens with Lindsay. Um, I've been kind of hesitant, back and forth. Should I pursue more of this Lindsay case? It is pretty triggering and stuff like that, but it's also like, I don't know. It's triggering, but parallel, not really. I would, I don't know. It's with the not necessarily with the kids. I I'm more focused on the aspect of the corruption um and the brokenness of the system. Um, yeah, she needs to be in there in an insane asylum for mental health hospital for the rest of her life, for her own protection and society. And then and more or less, I'm just voicing that this would never have happened, would never have happened to children, and I'm doing it, being their voice, as many others are, voicing their opinions on this. So it's a crazy case, and it was something that I wanted, to do true crime, and especially in the mental health aspect, because what happened to me shouldn't have ever happened. What happened to Lindsay shouldn't have ever happened, and whoever else I dive into later down the line. Um, um, so, anywho, well, guys, I think I'm gonna let you guys go. I hope you will comment down below. I didn't hear anything from anybody because I planned this for 2 o'clock and then decided to sleep in, and then I was like, you know what? I need to get myself back online, and because I was like, I'm so burnt out. I'm so tired. I don't want to do it. And then, but in order to activate, you know, um, some type of, I don't know. Like, I am also going through anhedonia, I think. Um, so, so it's been hard to motivate myself a little bit. I'm not depressed. I think it comes from the brain fog. I think I'm kind of in this dream state. I'm trying to get, you know, my sleep schedule before, you know, took care of the kids. Um, and just recouping, I think. I don't know. Anyways. And then, I don't know. I have no idea. And talking to, and listening to my avatar is probably annoying. I'd rather my, face planted on there. Um, that's the other thing about the mental health, how they did not do me justice when I was in psych, inpatient, where they were treating me my complicated case, and then it became more of a complicated case because I had FND, or at that time, we did not know that conversion disorder was changed back in 2013. It was just planted on me the day of, or day before discharge. I think it was more day of discharge because I had to make up hours for or OT. And sat down with me. This is conversion disorder. It's all in your head, basically. More mental health, trauma, whatever. And then that next day, I went to primary last minute. He had an emergency, so his colleague took me, who read stuff off of Google. And the misconceptions that it was, mental health. So she sent me back to the mental health hospital that I was at a month prior. And the doctor continued treating me over telehealth or Zoom. So you're gonna and then so I just like need to learn to shut up and you know because when I'm hurting, you're gonna hear about it. You're gonna okay, I'm gonna voice it. I'm gonna ask questions. I'm gonna, come up with silly theories. I'm gonna like, okay, this is a new symptom. This is, I've never had this experience before. I have paralysis on my dominant side. I can't feel anything on my dominant side. I feel fuzzy on my left side. Be damned if I'm not accused of, little did we know that conversion disorder has misconceptions. Or FND comes with a whole pocket of, these little misconceptions and gaslighting and abuse and neglect and if it doesn't if it goes if it's like goes against my like I am in healthcare, I'm a medical massage therapist. I would never ever force a patient to ambulate until in order to discharge. Goes against, for one, And then, you know, until they seize, like, come on. And you do it, try to, you know, take away equipment to force them to, you know, ambulate or, you know, I would have been like, no, 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 no. We're gonna wheel you to the van. And then make me feel like I'm gonna be kidnapped because I can't ambulate and I'm having seizures. I'd have been like, let's take you to the hospital. Let's try something different. You know, maybe they can get you back in rehab or, you know, physical rehab. You were able to walk before, you know. Or just plainly say, we can't accept you because you've been here, you're a liability, blah, 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 whatever. Then I could have taken a different route. I could have just gone home or wherever because I was living at the homeless shelter because I lost my apartment. So frustrating. But life is getting better. And I'm just ready to, like, make that next move and start working. Doing something. So I'm hoping to maybe sell some more artwork. If you've gotten artwork in the past, you know, like the lowest rate that I can go is $1.99. That's the lowest I can go, like on an art piece. So if you can afford it, if not, no worries. That's not. Um, anyways. So, what sounds good for you for dinner? I haven't eaten. Woke up late. Needed to sleep. I think I'll make hamburgers. Or burritos. I can't decide. Probably too tired to eat or make anything. Anyways. Well, I think that concludes what I have to say. If you are struggling with FND or anything out there, life will get better. Look at this dragonfly painting. It's 3D, three-dimensional. Dragonflies signify transformation. Your life will get better. I promise. I've been there. Just gotta suck it up, buttercup, as I say, and keep moving forward. And yeah, you might have some triggers and with FND or whatever, but that's only temporary. And I think the only best thing that I've ever heard from mental health is everything's a season. I honestly, that's primarily the only thing that I honestly got out of mental health. Um, I think it didn't really help me. I think it made everything worse. And at the time, um, I think my 3-year-old fraternal twin niece and nephews did me the best um, therapy, physical therapy, mental health therapy, whatever. Um, maybe I need to have a kid. Maybe I need to adopt a kid. But the nice thing about having, nieces and nephews, you can do your thing with them and then send them home, and you know, have your life back. Whereas having a kid, you know, um, I'd like to find somebody out there that, could co-parent. That might help a little bit instead of doing it all on your own. But I think having a niece, you know, I could probably just co-parent with her if she would let me. And I'm sure she would be like, they're all yours. Good luck. Um, and then I'm so excited to that my other niece is having a baby, and I don't get to see this one as much, these uh, three as much, and I live a lot closer to this uh, niece, so we got to work on that. I did get to, help grandma babysit, um, which was really nice, and maybe I need to do that a little bit more. Anyways, I am like driving you guys crazy, so I'm just rattling on. Probably because I'm so tired and I need to just go back to bed, eat, and go back to bed. Eat and go back to bed. Yeah. Gosh, it's almost 10 o'clock. Crazy. Um, I hope somebody will buy me a coffee. Um, anyways, well, make sure that is back on for the next. I think I've got it all set up where everything, I think I'm gonna just, I had three to four different episodes where the morning episodes were gonna be like whatever, talk about whatever, political, not so much political, but corruption and mental health. That's what I'm saying. Yeah, there might be a little bit of political stuff, because and then like Monday was supposed to be like FND. Here's some hacks. Here's some exercises. I still want to do that. And then like the green episode, which was going to be more art, and then the blue sessions were going to be like more listen to music, paint, whatever little tidbit. But I'm having to move everything around, so I'm freeing my mornings up now for real estate studying. I need to get my butt up in the morning, and then um, the art was going to be Monday through Thursday, and then now so I had to free that up. So we're just gonna probably Fridays and Saturdays are going to be more YouTube oriented, jibber jabber. So yeah, I can do it. And maybe that's why I'm so like, I don't want to do it, because I've totally like revamped my whole schedule, and my body is just like, what are we doing now? Which will kick into gear, and it'll be a schedule, and maybe this will help some of my foggy, I don't even know if this is like amnesia. It's just a weird, and it's coming from my left dominant side. For a while, it was like, you know how I used to complain about my migraines being right, deep right side, but now it feels like it's behind my eye on my dominant side, like like I don't know. It's like it's a weird sensation. It's cloudy. Um, it's like right behind my eye. Like, you know how you want to wipe your eye when you tear up? And it's like underneath my eye, behind my eye. I don't know. Maybe it's lazy eye. Maybe I'm sleeping so much. I don't know. It's a weird sensation. And it's been going on for, I want to say, good 3 years, but I don't know. And it's like I'm tired, and no amount of coffee is going to help this. Um, I did great. I went a whole week and a half without coffee, and then I was like, this is dumb. I need coffee. especially with these 3 children. So I just wanted to try going without coffee for a little bit. But coffee is survival, man. Alrighty, well, enough of my jibber jabber. That's also probably the problem why I'm rambling off, is I don't have 3 little kids to keep me preoccupied. The funny farm, 3 dogs, 3 three children, and 3 adults. That's a lot, or 4 adults if you included me. That's insane. Insane. But I had a blast. And I think being with family helped me just overall. Just my brother-in-law, number 2. Yeah, he's number 2. Being with my favorite number 2 brother-in-law, my sister helped me, just being over with family and overall just helped. So I thank everybody in that house, the funny farm. They are quite funny. The animals were helpful as well. So I think a lot of it was I don't know. Anyways, that's for another episode. Gosh, almost 3 hours I've been on here. I love you guys. Thank you again for listening to my, annoying self and letting me have a voice and my story and freedom. And life will get better, I promise. If you are struggling, just hang in there, suck it up, and do your part. Show accountability. It's your responsibility to, and I will see you on Friday. I promise. We're going to make Fridays and Saturdays. It's going to be a long day for me, but I think I needed to restructure and not have the same, thing going on. All right, guys. Bye. Love you guys. And don't forget to hug your animals, your crazy children, and don't forget to water your plants. Bye.